The case over on Rumble, of course. I do see that over 200 people are waiting. My apologies there. I set up early and then had to get the baby ready, actually. She and Liz were going out for a little bit of a walk. Thankfully, the rain mostly slacked off. There's still a little sprinkling going on out there, but yeah, you got to do what you got to do. We've got a kid. Anyways, we've got all sorts of crazy shit to talk about today. And some of it's crazier than the rest. We're going to talk about the presidential debates. Those are upcoming. We will get those next month. That'll be fun. A new fabric making urban heat islands more bearable. I've got better suggestions, actually, like eliminating the heat island. Nigel Farage, he's having a time of it over in the UK. Yeah, I'm McLovin' it because Nigel Farage has repeatedly antagonized the British political system, and there's basically nothing they can do about it, to the point where he now may implode the Conservative Party there. Probably a good thing. We're going to talk about the worm wall down in Panama against flesh-eating worms, actually. This was sent to me by a subscriber, and I thank you for that. I won't use your username because I don't know if you want me to. America's never-ending battle against flesh-eating worms. Yeah, that's some crazy history right there. And I didn't know that this was a thing, but apparently it is. So, Jesus. Los Angeles removing certain traffic signs because they were targeting and persecuting the gay community. This particular headline is so hyper-partisan that nuance definitely applies. That's what you get on my channel. You get a fair reading of what actually happened as opposed to the far right or far left perspective. And boy, oh boy, have you gotten both of those. And also at Mount Vernon, they made a major discovery in archaeology. And it was something that I predicted a couple of months ago, actually, when they unearthed the first couple of jars down in the basement, down the cellar of Mount Vernon. And they contained basically cherry syrup. And I figured, well, there's probably more down in the cellar, buried in the earth. Indeed, we have a major, major find over there. And so the inner archaeologist in me is very, very excited over that. So a lot of non-political news, actually, when you think about it. I kind of want to do more science and stuff like that. I find it fascinating. Entomology, botany, things of that nature. I find those things hilariously fascinating. Some people are into it, some people aren't. When I was a kid, I had a video scope, I had a microscope. When I cut myself, I immediately put a drop of blood on the slide and I looked at it under the microscope and stuff like that. Cloud charts and chemistry sets and all of those things. Great childhood, actually, when you think about it. That's what I'm talking about. But we do have to cover politics, too, because it is meaningful. Just a moment. Unfortunately, there's one problem with my current setup, which is that my 2-year-old daughter really likes to play around with the laptop, which is over on the side. It's hooked into a screen that's larger. The problem is sometimes the zoom, therefore, gets a little bit fucked up. So I'm going to see what I can do here. Okay, that's better on that end. Yeah, it should be. Just a sec. No, that's too big. Yeah, it's good. It's good on both ends. My apologies. There's nothing I can do about it because she'll take the lid and she'll open and close it. I've managed to change the close lid action so that it doesn't shut the computer off, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't zoom or de-zoom virtually every page that I'm working with, which is a big problem. I either can't see it or it's so big that it's retarded. So yeah, it becomes a problem. Naomi Smith, your childhood toys sound like my childhood toys. Yeah, I mean, my bedroom was basically a fucking laboratory. Even my Legos were purposed for scientific experiments. I was electrocuting insects and causing brain damage and burning their limbs off using the electrical arc from one of those globes, the ones with the lightning inside of them. I figured out that if you took a loop of metal and ran a chain to it, that you could actually cause an electrical arc on a metal surface. And once I learned this after shocking myself a couple times, I Figured out how to use it as a surgical instrument. Managed to amputate multiple diseased limbs from insects, actually. I figure I was helping some of them out because, their limbs weren't working anyway. So you burn them off and they're perfectly fine. Little bit of tea, I believe. Let's see. Tranny fluid. What did I walk in on? Madness, mainly. Just look at the live stream that I did last night with the quartering and the last 20 minutes of our chat. What was it about? Fart porn. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I've lost it at this point, but we'll talk about some politics first. If Biden doesn't ace the first debate, will he be replaced at the convention? The answer is no. Joe Biden can completely flop and he will not be replaced. That's point number one. And I know that a lot of people are astroturfing it. They're saying, well, Big Mike is going to be in there in October or something like that. Michelle Obama has already said that she's not interested. There's nobody else who's interested in going up against Joe Biden. It is quite clear that Joe Biden is uniquely unqualified for the office that he's seeking re-election in. Like when he froze up the other day, he had to be led off stage by Barack Obama. And Obama's like, yeah, come here, Joe. Everything, don't worry. We're going to go get you some ice cream and stuff like that. I understand that. The problem is that as long as Joe Biden is in the race, when people are actually voting in the primaries, they're casting their votes generally for Joe Biden. It would be an insult to them, therefore, if you were to randomly swap him out. And at some point, the ballots have been printed and you can't swap them out anymore. The idea of an October surprise, therefore, is off the menu. It can't possibly happen. If Joe Biden were to stand down, it would be at the convention. There is a 99% chance he does not do that. And he will probably be the nominee. This is actually good for the Democrats. While I would never vote for Joe Biden, and while there are some Democrats that would never vote for him, and while he's clearly cuckoo, he didn't fly over the cuckoo's nest. He went and he nested in it and started laying eggs. And he's got problems, admittedly. Joe Biden is old. He's demented. He's got problems. He's still better than the alternative, which is the alternative is that you ignore the will of the voters who have voted in those specific primaries and you jerry-rig somebody else in. It would be a terrible idea. And basically, you stick with Biden and you probably lose against Donald Trump, but you don't lose in a landslide. Or you can cycle him out and then you lose in a landslide like 50 fucking states because you've ignored most of your own primary voters, including some people that genuinely do like Joe Biden. And in the process, you've gotten somebody in there who is a non-incumbent. I think that Lichtman would have a field day with that particular analysis. The irony is that the dude with dementia is better than the alternatives for the Democratic Party. As far as the debates, here's what I expect. It's going to be a shitfest. Donald Trump and Joe Biden will attempt to talk over one another. Microphones will be randomly muted, mainly in Biden's favor, by the way. There will be a strictly partisan line of reasoning and line of questioning, and it'll be basically a fucking fuckfest. And this wouldn't surprise me in the least. They're going to gun for Trump. They're going to do everything that they can to prop Joe Biden up. That much is clear. I mean, the first one is held by CNN. CNN, the Communist News Network. Yeah. Donald Trump, in my opinion, agreed to this because he had no other choice. It was clear that the Biden administration was going to try to use the legacy media to hardball him. I don't think that he cares in the end. I don't think that it matters at all. It's also probably not going to change anyone's minds. People have pretty much made up their minds who they're going to vote for, and so it makes no difference. Let's get to some super chats. Mubalza Richie, should I scratch them? I don't know what you're talking about. Stormblood 20, what's a good way to protect my garden during this heat wave in eastern Midwest? My pepper plants look very sad and my onions have yet to come up. You can drench them or leave them alone. You should not just do a little bit of watering. Killer Kriegsman, reform tied with conservatives in UK polls. Yes, we're going to be talking about that. Nigel Farage's big day. It looks like he's about to fuck the Tories in the ass, and good luck to him doing so. Lev Polyakov. Good morning, Sticks. Love the nod to Twin Peaks with that box to your right. This one? No, it's not my box. Armand, who you spoke with last time, would love to debate whether Trump is dangerous for democracy. He's also got some U.S. flag suspenders. Well, if he believes that Trump is dangerous for democracy, yeah, I'd love to debate him. That sounds fine. That sounds fun. By the way, I don't expect nearly as many people to tune in today because I'm on a weird time zone at the moment. I'm doing my bloody best. Just a sec. Jesus H. Christ. Oh, yeah. This is a funny story. New fabric makes urban heat islands more bearable. As global temperatures and urban populations rise, the world's cities have become urban heat islands. We've heard that term since the 90s. With tight packed conditions and thermal radiation emitting from pavement and skyscrapers, trapping and magnifying temperatures. With 68% of all people predicted to live in cities by 2050, how fucking sad, this is a growing, deadly problem. It'll also be a deadly problem for rural Americans because, you know, they'll be shuttered out in the electoral sense. In a paper published in Science, researchers from Chicago Pritzker School of Molecular Engineering, or PME, detail a new wearable fabric that can help urban residents survive the worst impacts of massive heat caused by global climate change, with applications in clothing, building, car design, and food storage. And basically, this new fabric reflects thermal radiation on multiple levels. So you can wear it like as a t-shirt or something like that, and you'll be perfectly fine. Hey, guys, people have been living in the tropics now for millions and millions of years. We are effectively a tropical species. I think that we'll be fine. That's number one. Number two, if you want to reduce thermal radiation within the inner city, all you have to do is plant more fucking trees. More parks, more trees, more green strips. It is doable. You are physically capable of doing this. All that remains is the will to do so. You don't need to have unlimited thermal radiation. You can create shade. You could probably do it artificially too, but I mean, why would you want to do that when you can plant fruit trees? At the same time, you could also plant, you know, like if it's apple trees and shit like that, you could also plant things that the homeless and the poor could feast on. I think that would be a good thing. We're wasting a shit ton of land within urban landscapes, especially the suburbs, mostly. It's not necessary for you to develop a new fabric to defeat the sun. What's necessary is to simply develop, you know, planting trees, putting nuts and seeds in the ground. That's really all you have to do. So it's an interesting idea. I mean, it's an interesting scientific concept. It's just one that shouldn't have to exist as a construct. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Remember to pelt sigil with stones. Goodness. Or pelt him with poo, you know. You two get into it every single day. Every time I stream, there's a zombie and a poop poster that go at it. It's a big problem. Season with love. My house is a garden inside and out. Yeah, there's a shit ton of plants over here. Orchids and palms, bromeliads, umbrella plant. Of course, I love umbrella plants. The only problem is that they're susceptible to scale insects, and I've always had a problem with those. Sigil stone. It's getting so hot around here, I gotta go to Bonehead's mausoleum just to find somewhere cool. Mike the Womp, hello again. I hope you and yours are well. Yes, indeed. My apologies for the weird time zone, you know, and the weird time slot. By the way, tonight we're having Habibis. There's a restaurant only a few blocks from here called Habibis. It's a Lebanese and Turkish restaurant. They have the best goddamn fucking prawns that you can possibly fucking imagine. And I'm going to eat them all. because prawns are great. Nice and buttery, rich. Basically like a better version of lobster when you think about it. Yeah, Ripsidian actually, you've got a point. The UK right now is talking about a heat wave, and I think that their temperature, 76 degrees is pretty close to what they're talking about. I realize that they've got older buildings that don't really have ACs and are poorly ventilated, but 76 degrees is not going to kill you unless you're like, 100 years old or something like that. Christ, I think, let me check really quickly. Give me a sec. Yeah, today in Rutland, Vermont, it's 90 fucking degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be 92 fucking degrees. It's going to be 71 at night. It's going to be hot as hell. It's a heat wave. People will be fine. One person might die. Wasted Bonehead Sticks. Have you ever heard of a film called When the Wind Blows? If not, I recommend you give it a watch. Heard of it? Never seen it. What do fuck? Do you think CNN will put real-time AI filter on Biden's face during the debate? They might very well do so. The bonus holes. Time to name and shame a company for engaging in unethical shrinkflation practices. Arm & Hammer is guilty of watering down their Plus OxyClean laundry detergent. Don't buy. Oh, they watered down OxyClean? The one that one dude there, Billy Mays, he was supporting before he died of a coke overdose, I think it was. Why am I pounding my hand with this hammer? I remember Billy Mays. Oh, he was great. The man who launched 10 million memes. Billy Mays is amazing. How Nigel Farage blew up the UK election. Britain's top Brexiteer has made it his life's work to torment the Conservative Party. This time he could reduce it to rubble. Yeah, we've got new polling from the UK election. That's next month, July 4th, literally, Independence Day in the United States. Totally coincidental timing, by the way. And it looks like the Reform Party that Farage has started. This is I think the third political party he's founded. There was UKIP, and then there was the Brexit Party specifically, and he robbed UKIP after Brexit happened. And now he's got the Reform Party. I might be getting the first two wrong. I might be getting those reversed. And now he's standing for office along with some other candidates. And it looks like they are going to absolutely annihilate the Tory party in the United Kingdom. Basically, for those that haven't studied British politics, imagine the so-called Conservative Party, the Tory party, as being effectively like the non-MAGA neocon Republicans. That's basically what they are. With Labour being the Democrats, and then you've got the Lib Dems. They've disappeared off the face of the earth. And then you have Nigel Farage. And he is a sensation within the UK. He is a singularity. He's one of the political leaders that only comes along once in a great while within a country. He's like a Javier Milei or something like that. He's got a Reform Party now, and he's absolutely hammering them to the point where it looks like the Conservative Party that generally is at parity with the Labour, and they sort of gravitate back and forth. So, you go a little bit more left, a little bit more right. That's sort of their uniparty. It looks like he might hammer them out of existence, like they won't exist anymore, as in the party will die. That the Tory party, after the hundreds of years, might disappear from the face of the earth. I don't think that any reasonable British person would care, by the way. If that's the only thing that he accomplishes, other than Brexit, well, he's still been one of the most pronounced figures within UK politics in centuries. Nigel Farage, at this point, if he's successful here, he gets to rest on his laurels. Let him do whatever the fuck he wants. Give him a state pension or something, because he's basically shown the entire establishment how weak it is. And he might be successful. Based on new polling, it looks like a 50-50 sum proposition. Labour will clearly win, which means that the UK will go further to the left, sort of towards, the equivalent of the US Democratic Party, like neoliberals, which is sad. But if the conservatives aren't actually going to mount a defense, and when Sunak on D-Day decides to cut it short and then go off to a fundraiser and stupid shit like that, Nigel Farage, oh man, he finds ripe fodder for this. And he's McLovin' it. You can tell that he's happy. You can tell that he's enjoying what he's doing right now. I'm not surprised, and I don't fault him for it. If you destroy the Tory party and replace it with a Reform party in your own image, something that's actually conservative, something that will actually stand for some variant of values, well, it's more than the UK has had in quite some time. I think that Nigel Farage is a cool dude, and he's doing a good job. I'd be very surprised if he didn't succeed, by the way. I think that he will in the end. Nanya, got to hear you hawk your soapbox from your soapbox live today. Looked into biochar and ended up getting into vermicompost to charge it. Yes, biochar is good. Joe, love you, Sticks. Did you see the story of the corpse lily blooming at a college in Colorado? I guess it took them 8 years to get it to bloom. No, I didn't actually. I know what a corpse lily is, though. The bonus holes. No, not OxyClean. Arm & Hammer detergent with OxyClean. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that they'd partnered up. Aries P. New fabric reflects in external IR radiation. Okay. And what happens to the IR emitted by the body, reflected back and trapped? Progress. Well, it's probably less than what's, coming in. So I guess that's the point. Lev Polyakov. Thoughts on Celsius energy drinks. Also, when do you plan on returning to the land of freedom? I've never had one, and I'm not 100% sure. We can always DM about such things. Stephen Robinson. Calgary Arians told to drink beers instead of water by city's mayor amid water main breakdown. Lol. Interesting. Huh. So in Calgary, they're just drinking beer? Oh, that's not going to lead to any problems. Ozzy's Robots. Morning. So Bill Gates funded gain of function for... I've got to be careful about whether I can say this. Bird flu to jump to humans, and now there's a honk looming at an election year. Anyone waking up? My apologies. I have to parse my words if I'm on a YouTube live stream. Yes, I covered that in my New Tech exclusive, I think, yesterday. Not a big surprise. Not even close. Let's see. Wasted Sticks. Have you ever heard of a film? I already read that one. Certain Death. It's not the people in the UK complaining about the temperature. It's the media. It's an op. Most of us here have the heating on still. Temple of Gate. Gobekli Tepe's excavation is being conducted by the WEF. They've stalled at 5% for years. Things that make you go, Yeah, they don't want people to know about their true origins now, do they? I am sympathetic towards this view. What the fuck? Like Dracula having to sleep on his native soil in his coffin. Biden must return to Delaware for his off-book meds. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil can fuck off right out of my mausoleum. Only the undead are allowed in here. Sigil. Did you see the video of Farage playing Minecraft and blowing up Rishi Sunak's house? It's funny as fuck. And I kicked the undead out. They're not bothered by heat, so they can cope, seethe, and mold. I didn't see that, but you've got to DM me that because now I need to see it. Matt G. Hammond. If the Congress passes the law limiting abortion to 14 weeks that you described in a recent video, how would you get 9+ month abortion states to follow the law? They do not follow immigration law. Yeah, it'd be hard. I don't believe it should be a federal issue. I believe there should be some guidance, some wisdom involved, but we're talking about Congress, so good luck. Wasted. The mausoleum is shitty from all your redecorating. You can have it. We've got a few mausoleums to spare. And Sigil, new business idea. Sigil's shitty mausoleum tours. Experience the real scent of death. Oh, goodness. You two are off the chain. This is a very, very strange... Well, actually, first let me get to... just a sec. Let me get to our sponsors. We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, belt chains, keychains, and much, much more. Engraved spoons and amulets, of course, my personal favorite. Use code STICKS, of course, at checkout. They've also got non-sticks merchandise available. It's all handmade, mainly leather and metal and stuff like that. It's been engraved. BiltongUSA.com or AntonsUSA.com, the land of tasty meat. Yes, I believe he's still trying to get kangaroo. There's elk and venison and everything else under the sun. Basically, if it walks, if it provides meat, yeah, he's probably turned it into biltong at this point. We're just waiting for rabbit biltong. Use code STICKS there as well. We've got mugs, tumblers, and shirts available. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer hats with the Ouroboros logo, either offset or centered as well. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company.com, land of the seed survival bucket. Most of the stuff that you've seen in my garden, some of you, that comes from them. Also, the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer soapbox. We've got cedar, clove, and blueberry, actually, as the scent. I personally love it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get various Sticks, Hex, and Hammer materials, including knives. So, if you're into blades, we got you covered, and they are fucking sharp. I don't know exactly what kind of sharpening system they use, but I just nudged it in the box briefly, and I was free bleeding, basically. Also, other things available as well, metal straws especially, so you can save the turtles. I find that fun. And they've also got a bunch of Trump material as well. Jamandbean.com, that's JAMN where you can get delicious coffee and tea, especially the Costa Rica blend. That's important because it's powerful, it's smooth, it's lovely, it's the best coffee that I've ever had, and I've had a fucking lot of coffees in my life. MTPew, that's MTPEW.com, where you can get ammunition, either range brass, refilled, or newly manufactured. They've got pistol rounds, they've got rifle rounds, various calibers, 40 Smith & Wesson, 9mm, etc., available. And finally, BrickMuseum.com in Blair, Ohio, where you can go and you can see all sorts of cool Lego shit. If you were a Lego kid like me, you'll probably enjoy it. I still have to get out there. I believe they are open through the end of August. And so probably in the next couple of months, I'm going to try to get out there because I imagine that would be fun as hell. I hope they have Lego sets available too, because I need to rebuild my collection after, an unfortunate incident some years ago with regards to my Legos. So yeah, those are our merchant sponsors. Sassmaster531, what's the likelihood of Trump pulling off his deportation plans should he win? Low, but measurable. And so you should vote for him anyway. The bonus holes. On the topic of the draft, it should be abolished. Yes, I agree. But since that won't happen, women should be drafted unless they want to give up the 19th Amendment and holding public office. Change my mind. No, I believe in chivalry. I do not believe it's dead. I believe we need to protect our females, and I do not believe they should go to war. If they really want to, if they're like some commando dyke or something like that, with 200 pounds of pure muscle, and nobody's, Rosie the Riveter, but with a gun, then nobody's going to say no. Generally speaking, though, no, I do not believe that women should be in combat roles. I do not care if there are people that consider this to be bigoted or discriminatory in any manner. Ozzy's Robots. For Sigil and Wasted, buying a mausoleum tomorrow. I think Ozzy can probably afford it too. I guess Wasted Bonehead's going to have a good time. Oscar Gonzalez, Sticks, have you done a video on Vermont cryptids like the Pigman of Northfield and the Bennington Monster? I've done the Bennington Triangle. I believe I did the Pigman. That's in the occult playlist. You'll have to search through it. I would like to do more of them, though. I think I did Emily's Bridge, too, actually. Christian Garabadian bought me some biltong, and it was a perfect snack for my trucking adventures. Thank Anton for the Aussie candy he sent. Clank on. Yeah, the biltong is definitely on another tier of yum. Wasted. You know what? I could construct an argument against Sigil, but I won't waste my superior intellect. Instead, I'll simply say this. Sigil gay. Okay, now speaking of like rot and decrepitation, We've got an interesting article that was sent by a subscriber. I never knew that this was a thing, but it's actually been ongoing for decades. America's never-ending battle against flesh-eating worms. Inside the U.S. and Panama's long-running collaboration to rid an entire continent of a deadly disease. Yes, there is a form of worm that used to be endemic, actually, up into the southern United States. It's currently only endemic south of Panama. And it used to kill hundreds of thousands or millions of cattle and pigs and basically any warm-blooded creature every single year. It could infect humans as well. And now they're fighting it. They're trying to limit it to the very narrow corridor within Panama and prevent it from coming further north, because that would be a fucking catastrophe. And the way that they're doing this is they're using X-rays, actually, to sterilize male screwworms. And then they just airdrop them all around the place, and they mate with the females. The females can only mate once, and they're receiving sterilized sperm. And so that, they don't have any, worm offspring, and it limits their population drastically. And this was thought up many, many decades ago. When was it thought of? It was back in the 1930s by Edward F. Knipling. So thank you, Knipling. You've supplied people with literally millions and millions of pounds of steak and pork chops at this point that didn't die because of these worms. The problem is that there's only one firm that's actually involved with this. And they literally bombard the area multiple times a week with these sterilized screwworms. It's only a matter of time before they break through. It'll be just like the killer bee, just like the fire ant, etc., unless we take further action. And this is one thing that it sort of ties in with Jimmy Carter when you think about it. Like, he's tried to remove, I can't remember the name of the exact species, but the worm that like literally burrows into your feet and causes ulcers. And then the only way to stop it from, making you be in torment is to put it in water. And that's the whole survival strategy of the worm. The guinea worm, that's the name of it. And Carter's trying to eliminate those. And they were in I think 12 or 13 countries. And now it's only in one country, basically. There's not a whole lot of a native reservoir left. I think that we should redouble such efforts. I think that sanitation is terribly overlooked within modern medicine. We rely so much on vaccines and treatments and surgery and things like that. We don't rely nearly enough upon sanitation and eradication efforts. And I think that that should be a thing. I think that we should pivot around, and we should just fucking destroy these species. Spray them with DDT. Who gives a goddamn? The only study that showed that DDT was responsible for thinned eggshells was discredited many years ago. Fucking blast them with chemicals. I think that it's a great thing. Kids used to follow in the school bus, they used to follow the DDT truck. It'd be spraying gas out into the fields everywhere. Well, the kids never got sick. Their cancer rates are lower than those of Gen X, and Gen X never experienced DDT, now did they? Very interesting. Almost like it was helpful and not particularly harmful. Screwworms used to kill millions of head of cattle and pigs and all sorts of things. Basically, if it was warm-blooded, it was screwworms could get into it. And it was basically anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line. So if you had a pork farm in Vermont, you didn't really have to worry about screwworms. But if you were down in Virginia or the Carolinas or something like that, or Texas, you did have to worry about them, and an outbreak could cause calamity. And they managed to eradicate them more or less, but they're still there, unfortunately. We should drive them off the continent, blast them with chemicals too. Drop the sterilized screwworms, increase their budget by 10 times for just a few years, eradicate them almost to extinction, and then just gas the entire thing with DDT. Well, you've solved the problem. Let's see. The bonus holes. I don't care if it's bigoted or not. I just think if you get a say in whether or not we go to war, you should have skin in the game. Agreed. I don't think anyone should have skin in the game because I don't think we should ever be going to war. R. Smith, Heritage Heirloom Seed Company. Buy a sticks box or seed bucket and get a chance to win 2 Morgan silver dollars. 2 coins will be added to 2 customers' orders. Interesting. Tigers are my totem. Sent $5. No comment. Thank you. RNAO Roger, why exactly should women remain exempt when they decline to fight in the wars they vote for, in general offer even replacement birth rates? I would say that war is not typically voted on, number one. We don't have a direct democracy. Number two, women and men are simply biologically different. Women are not geared to fight in wars. It's just the way that things are. And men should take a leading role in politics, I do believe. Call me misogynistic if you want to. I think that we need to protect our women. Ozzy's Robot. Sticks, when will we do a live stream together? I'm way more interesting than the quartering. Lol. Yeah, we can do a live stream sometime, although don't insult the quartering. I do really enjoy talking to him. I find him funny. Christian Garabedian. With the rise of the threat of a draft, if a draft were to happen, will this give way to political pressure to remove women's right to vote? No, hopefully it gives way to removing the draft. That's what I want. Fuck the draft. Nobody should have to sign up for the selective service. Sigil. Skeletons don't have intellect, they don't have brains, and the proper intellectual response is to load a potato cannon with Indian food, pre or post eating, doesn't matter, it's the same thing, and fire. No love for Indian food among a lot of people. I know that it may not always look delicious, but it fucking tastes delicious. I love curry. Lol, not a cat. It's unlikely they'll break through. Screw worms have been pushed back to Panama because it's a natural choke point. Every outbreak outside Panama has been crushed. One of the few good government programs. I say we crush them into extinction. We get rid of them completely. Gas the fuckers. Same with the guinea worms. Start making DDT again. There's still a factory in India that makes it. Well, we'll fund them. Sigil, don't you just love having to live with parasites and their diseases because Rachel Carson was a lying cunt that hated humanity? Fuck the environmentalist scumbags, every last one. Yeah, I believe in bringing back DDT. And in a big fucking way, by the way. I would bomb the entire planet with DDT. We're talking, millions of tons of DDT. Just like a DDT nuke, just to eradicate every mosquito in the world. Didn't eradicate the other insects. Nurse Nikki, my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. Please consider supporting her store, Adventure Clothes Company. She makes women's baby clothes and more. Okay, I'll give you a shout out here. My condolences for her diagnosis, by the way. May she have a speedy recovery. Los Angeles removes traffic signs used to target and persecute the gay community. I wanted to talk about propaganda in the context of this one. If you read right-wing sources, and you need to understand, there is propaganda that comes from the moralistic right, by the way. You would think that Los Angeles just removed a bunch of U-turn signs because they were randomly deemed to be homophobic. What this actually refers to is a practice that they had back in the day, which was basically to dissuade gay individuals within communities that were largely homosexual from being able to pick up prostitutes or whore themselves out and stuff like that. The signs read, no cruising, no U-turns, midnight to 6 a.m., and were posted around the Silver Lake neighborhood. So a gay neighborhood, generally speaking. This was an effort by the city to prevent homosexual behavior. And it dates back some time ago. They were posted around the Silver Lake neighborhood in 1997, so we're talking about the latter days of the AIDS epidemic, so there was a reason for it. With the intent to curb gay men from roaming the streets to hook up, the Los Angeles Times reported. Just in time for Pride Month, the signs were retired this week. I personally do not see the problem with this, because if the only purpose was to prevent gay people from hooking up, and there's demographic shifts since 1997, I'm assuming. It's kind of outdated. It's just an outdated methodology. Also, it's not going to prevent anyone from hooking up these days. What the fuck? They'll just meet on the internet or by phone or something like that. This is not 1997 anymore. The methodologies that were employed back then, even for good purpose, are no longer applicable. So I actually support the city of Los Angeles in this because there's literally, I mean, you're not accomplishing anything. And by the way, what the fuck? No U-turns? Generally, you don't have the ability to U-turn on a road anyway. I guess the idea is maybe you go to an intersection, you turn around and, you know, there's the gay dude is there and, you know, you can get your dick sucked or something like that. Huns with guns. You know what's a winning strategy for conservatives? Whining about the 19th Amendment in 2024. Yeah, exactly. Also, aren't older people exempt from the draft? Yes, like it goes up to, what was it? Fucking, I can't remember the age that it goes to. I'm 36, so I think I'm outside of the draft age at this point. I'd sign up if there were a legit ward wage. We haven't had one of those in a fucking while. I probably wouldn't do too well as a recruit anyway, though, so they probably wouldn't accept me. Go into communications or something. I could do propaganda for the United States government. That'd be fucking funny. Lev Polyakov. Have you seen the Twitter account Insane Facebook AI Slop? Beautiful cabin crew. Scarlett Johansson. No, I've never seen it. Lizard of Linux Lane. For fuck's sake, uninstall Windows and install Linux. I would, but I'd have to have someone in person help me do so in order to know how to fucking work everything. I'd have to hire them in order to install it and get everything calibrated and know what the fuck I was doing. Sharing for improvement. Hey, Sticks, from your experience, does Europe have an immigration or Islam problem? Will Europeans become a minority in their countries? No, Europeans are not going to become a minority in their countries. That being said, there is a problem with migrant crime. There is a problem with the invasion of hardline Islamism. Yes, absolutely. It's a workable problem. It does exist, but no, Europeans are not going to disappear. Pingwan had a heart attack Friday. 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend. Workiverse strong. Sorry for that. Jesus Christ. I always wondered what a heart attack would feel like. Probably like being punched in the chest repeatedly. The Copper Owl. Glad you all liked the Lego Sticks Garden. That was absolutely amazing, and I thank you for that. Now it just needs to be expanded, like the real garden will be. Lol, not a cat. Oh, I did that one. Sigilstone. Don't you just love... oh, I did that one too. Oh, for some reason it jumped up. Dagnabbit 32. Send the sons of politicians to war. I do agree with that. If there's ever a war and it's not strictly defensive, in the case of the United States, the first people drafted should be the sons and I would say daughters of politicians. I'll make an exception for them. If they die, nobody cares. Sigil Stone. Remember when monkeypox was found to be mostly skin-to-skin transmitted, and every gay man interviewed said they got it at piss orgies, and kids and dogs started getting it. I'm good with... I can't say that last part on a YouTube video. Yeah, I remember the monkeypox outbreak, traced to the party in Belgium, not far from here. Ozzy was considering backlash against woke movies and video games and thought we never pushed back on music and it turned to trash. Maybe it's worth the fight. Yeah, I mean, but there's so much music out there to listen to already from the past that it doesn't even really matter. There is still some good music, by the way. Look up the Decemberists. Opinionated Junkie. Styx Army would make you cut your hair. Yeah, I know. That would be a problem. I'd have to join a partisan movement, I guess. The bonus hole. Send leftoids, politicians, and celebrities to the front lines. They'd make excellent human shields for the real troops. Yeah, I know. Mitch McConnell, you know, you just sort of hold him up in front of you and, you know, you're gunning down the enemy and, you know, maybe he takes a bullet, maybe he doesn't. Oh, by the way, we've got archaeology news, and then we've got to go offline. I'm not going to spend so much time on this live stream today because I've got to go out and get the food in a little bit. Blockbuster discovery unearthed at George Washington's Mount Vernon estate. I'm loving this one, and it's because I predicted that this discovery would actually be made. You remember, it was only a few weeks ago. They had a discovery at Mount Vernon. This is George Washington's old home. and they were digging around in the cellar. They were doing an excavation. They found several bottles that contained like cherry juice or something like that, and it was a huge discovery, because now they can try to look at the chemical composition there. They can look at the contents, and maybe even, by the way, the cherry pits are still able to be planted. Now, there's an old meme about George Washington chopping down the cherry tree. Those pits may actually still be viable. We saw that in archaeological news last decade, they had, what was it? It was, I believe, a papyrus pod, and it was several thousand years old. They found it in a tomb, and they managed to grow it. They actually managed to get it to sprout. We could do some intensive genetic study if even one of these cherry pits is capable of growing. Now they've got 35 more bottles. Now, I had predicted that they would find more of them. I don't think that 35, though, was what I expected. Archaeologists at George Washington's Mount Vernon, and this is just part of the excavation, so they might find more, have discovered dozens of glass jars filled with fruit preserves in the cellar of the historic Northern Virginia home that likely haven't seen the light of day since before the American Revolution. 29 of the 35 bottles remain intact. That's spectacular, by the way. And all contain either cherries, gooseberries, or currants. You can harvest those seeds too. The home and museum of the first U.S. president revealed in a press release Friday. Never in our wildest dreams did we imagine this spectacular archaeological discovery, Mount Vernon President and CEO Doug Bradburn said in a statement. We were ecstatic last month to uncover 2 fully intact 18th century bottles containing biological matter. Now we know those bottles were just the beginning of this blockbuster discovery. By the way, prediction, they will find more of them. I can't imagine. George Washington only had like 2 bottles in one corner and, a couple dozen in the other corner. I have a feeling that once you unearth the entire substructure of Mount Vernon, you're going to find hundreds of them. And they could have other crazy shit in them too. Not necessarily just fruit. Hopefully they can take some of those seeds and get them to a botanical team. Hell, give me one of them. Give me one of George Washington's cherry pits, and let me see if I can get it to germinate, because I'm pretty sure that I could figure it out. Apparently with the ancient palm or papyrus, whatever it was, from several thousand years ago they found in the tomb, what they did is they soaked it in fertilizer and then germinated. They had to soak it in feed basically first in order to revive the seed. Apparently that methodology works. I mean, you're talking several thousand years. Well, a 300-year-old cherry pit should be easy pickings. I want one of George Washington's cherry trees. They need to talk to a team of botanists as quickly as possible. Lev Polyakov, during wartime, if you were in charge of making MREs, what would you serve the troops? Wouldn't be the white chicken chunks, that's for sure. I would consider it a war crime. I'd airdrop those on the enemy, and then all of them would get sick eating them. Bretling, cherry pits don't germinate that easily when they aren't hundreds of years old. Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult, but if they've got hundreds and hundreds of pits to work with, there should be a couple that are viable. They just need to treat them properly. They might have been processed. They might have been heated or something like that, but still, there is a possibility that one of them could sprout. George Washington and cherry trees are basically ubiquitous with one another. And so just as a goddamn meme, if you had a George Washington cherry tree, that would be a big thing. I mean, it'd be a fucking tourist attraction. The bonus holes. We made a decision. We may continue on as a band despite our wrongful twatter ban, but we need folks to follow us on our various other socials to make up for the damage Elon has done. Fall in, clankers. Yes, fall in for the bonus holes. You can follow them on various platforms, make music and so forth. Wasted. Sigil sent me pictures of monkeypox. It was nasty. I never wanted to see his face, let alone his face with monkeypox all over it. Goodness. Pumpkin Firecrafts, good morning, clankers and sticks. Stick spoons and artwork now. Buy 2, get 1, 50% off. No code necessary and works along with existing code sticks. Clank. By the way, please, people, send no more super chats because, again, I do have to go offline here and do food stuff. Sigil, Bonehead doesn't know when his father looks like. Sad. And I excavated George Washington's septic tank. Bonehead going to get a presidential pooing for July 4th, aka British Election Day, by the way, and DM'd you that Farage video. Enjoy. I will enjoy that. Ozzy's Robot. Scott Adams' theory is Dems will commit fraud en masse nationwide, creating so much chaos election can't be certified, forcing Biden to pack the courts. Doubtful. I disagree with him. Tigers are my totem. Ham slice MRE from the 80s. We used to fight over the mint cake dessert. Never tried that one. I don't know. I like the banana, what's it called? I think a banana pound cake. That one was pretty good. I don't know. I've liked almost every MRE I've eaten, but the white chicken chunks is literally a fucking abomination. It should not exist. I don't know who taste tested it and said this is actually good, but it shouldn't exist. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I'll be back tomorrow with more news, current events, science, things like that. But I'm goddamn hungry. So, yeah, thank you all. That's about all. Peace out.